When disaster strikes, Tulsa Public Schools is prepared.
It is absolutely imperative that people believe that their children are going to be safe.
Superintendent Dr. Keith Ballard is committed to the safety of students and faculty.
I've been through fires, I've been through the loss of students. You see, it's not just about a natural disaster, but in every way ensuring that the mental and physical safety and health of children will be provided is a sacred obligation.
Tulsa Public Schools has 3 plans of action if an emergency should occur. First is the Go Home Plan, in which we would return students to their homes as quickly and safely as possible. Each school maintains emergency contact information on each student. This is why it's so important for you, the parent, to keep that information up to date. The second plan is to shelter in place. Faculty and staff will keep students in the building when it is safer than being outside. This plan may also include a complete lockdown of the school. The third plan is the evacuation plan. This may mean simply moving students to a previously identified location or simply moving outside and away from the building. In some cases, students and staff may need to be transported and housed temporarily in another location. With all 3 plans, you will need to monitor local radio and television stations or our website, Facebook, and Twitter accounts. These media outlets, along with our social media services, are where you will find information about how to reunite with your child.
We will do everything in our power to make sure that you get good instructions as quickly as possible on exactly how to be reunited with your child. Where will they be? What are the procedures for picking them up? So that we can keep the kids safe, because that really is the most important thing on this. We've got to keep the kids safe.
If an evacuation is necessary, each school has several alternative locations to house students safely.
Anytime you look at an evacuation, the first thing you have to look at is where is it safe to go. There are multiple locations. Every school has 1, maybe 2 locations nearby where they might evacuate to. But suppose you have an event that covers a wider area. That other location may not be safe either, and we may have to go to an alternative location. Or if you're running into a very large event that affects multiple schools, you may have to pick a centralized location somewhere else in the city to move everybody to, so that you can effectively keep track of the student body. So just saying we have a place for a school isn't really adequately prepared for every eventuality that may come along.
For security reasons, we do not make those locations known until an actual emergency has occurred requiring evacuation. Rest assured, though, that police, fire, and county and state authorities know where those locations are so that they may respond to aid in the safety and well-being of students.
When you put that child on the bus, or you send that child off in their vehicle, or you drop them off at school, that they're going to be safe that day. That we are prepared for anything that will happen, and that we take it very seriously. And I would want them to know that we think about it, and that we do have the procedures and practices in place that we can handle whatever comes up, and their child will be safe.
Every school in the district is required to have their own individual emergency plan in place for a wide range of issues, from fires and tornadoes to atmospheric chemical releases and everything in between.
Every school has what's called a safe school plan, and that's the plan for the entire school.
Emergency Management Coordinator Bob Roberts is in charge of making sure all the school plans are appropriate and include all the necessary information.
An individual school's plan is going to have several components in it. Number 1, it's got some disaster-specific plans. It may have a page dedicated just to fires. Who's responsible for checking hallways? Who's responsible for checking restrooms? Where exactly are the kids supposed to go? It also identifies who in the school has first aid and CPR training, who in the school has a ham radio license, who in the school has been through more advanced emergency response training, who are your nurses.
And those plans don't just stay in the principal's office.
We have what we call a Safe School Handbook that actually goes into every classroom. So every teacher has an abbreviated version of what steps they're supposed to take in specific kinds of emergencies.
Tulsa Public Schools also has plans in place for students with disabilities or special needs in the event of an emergency.
They are, and special needs and individual instruction plan students are always in the consideration as we move forward. Our people who are in charge of special ed are in every meeting and sit on every committee that's involved in the planning for disasters. In addition to that, we work with a number of outside agencies, communication services for the deaf, and as one example, and other agencies that work with special needs populations. And again, it's tied in with the City of Tulsa's plan that has an entire section on that supports special needs populations. So yes, we feel like we're trying to keep that on the forefront of our thoughts.
Now that you know about the plans in place, what can you, the parent or guardian, do to be better prepared in case of an emergency? First, keep your child's emergency contact information up to date. We can't give you accurate information regarding your student if we do not have the correct contact information. Second, if an emergency should happen, do not go directly to your child's school. In many cases, only district personnel will be allowed into or out of schools that are affected by an emergency. And, depending on the nature of the emergency, you could be putting your life in jeopardy by coming to the school.
You have to touch base with the local media. We will do everything in our power to make sure that you get good instructions as quickly as possible on exactly how to be reunited with your child.
Tulsa Public Schools will also send out information via a School Connects phone call, as well as updating our website, Facebook, and Twitter accounts with the latest information as soon as we have it. Another way to be prepared is to talk to your child about listening to directions during an emergency and reviewing with them alternative arrangements you have made if an emergency prevents you from being home. When an emergency happens, Tulsa Public Schools will be prepared and ready to handle it. From small incidents to a large multi-school evacuation, Tulsa Public Schools has a plan in place to keep students, staff, and faculty safe and accounted for.